o'clock on Monday, November 18th, and I call this meeting of the Clear Creek Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present and that this meeting has been duly called, that its notice has been posted in accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Our first item on the agenda is part of our public hearing, and so we'll hear about the state financial accountability rating.
Thank you. And as Ms. Benzai comes up, Senate Bill 218 requires the school district to prepare an annual financial accountability report within 2 months of the date of the issuance of the final financial integrity rating system of Texas, or FIRST ratings. Many business-related issues are covered in this report, and the primary reporting tool, however, is a financial accountability ratings worksheet, which consists of 21 indicators. And Clear Creek ISD is currently has a rating of superior achievement, and Ms. Benzai will go through that report for you.
Good evening. Tonight we are going to review the annual financial accountability management report. As Dr. Engel mentioned, the Senate Bill 218 and the 77th Texas Legislature in 2001 required that we prepare this report within 2 months of the date that our first ratings are released, and so we are doing that tonight to comply with that requirement. We did receive a rating of superior achievement, and this is based on financial numbers from our audited financials from August 31 of 2023. There are 3 types of indicators in the first rating. The first 5 indicators are what they call critical indicators. So if we had a no response to any of these first 5 indicators, it would signal a sign of fiscal distress and would result in an automatic rating of substandard achievement. The indicators 6 through 14 reflect solvency indicators, and financial competence indicators are reflected in indicators 15 through 21. So I'll go through each of the indicators that we have. There's a couple that are not, maybe one that is not utilized this year. And I'll also focus a little bit on ones that we didn't receive the highest ranking on, and I'll explain that. So the first indicator was the complete annual financial report and data submitted to the TEA within 30 days of the January 28th deadline. Yes, it was. The second indicator, was there an unmodified opinion on the financial statements as a whole? And yes, Clear Creek ISD received a clean audit. An unmodified opinion is the highest level of opinion you could get from an external auditors on our financial statements. Indicator 3 and 4 was the school district in compliance with the payment terms of all debt agreements at fiscal year end, and we were. Did the school district make timely payments to the teacher retirement system, Texas Workforce Commission, Internal Revenue Service, and other governmental agencies? And yes, we did make timely payments. Indicators 5 and 6 was the total unrestricted net position in the governmental activities column in the statement of net position greater than 0, and yes, it was. And was the average change in fund balance over 3 years less than a 25% decrease, or did the current year assigned and unassigned fund balance exceed 75 days of operational expenditures? And that is a yes as well. Indicator 7 was the number of days of cash and current investments in the general fund sufficient to cover operating expenditures? Yes, this indicator 7 is one that we do have to watch, because we need to make sure that at year end our cash and investments are less than 12 months, so that we can keep that balance up. The 8th indicator was a measure of current assets to current liabilities ratio sufficient to cover short-term debt. And this was yes as well. However, we did only score 6 of the available 10 points on this particular indicator. We have 2.47 times more current assets and current liabilities, and this is the same ranking that we had last year. One of the things that we have to watch with this particular indicator is that we have a healthy fund balance. However, as we sell debt, our payments go up, and so that kind of offsets any increase in our fund balance. So As we continue to sell debt and issue new bonds throughout the next few years, this will be an indicator that we will probably struggle with a little bit at getting the highest ranking. But as I said, right now we're at 6. We did receive 6 points, so we were still able to maintain that highest ranking overall. Indicators 9 and 10. Did the general fund revenues equal or exceed expenditures, or was the number of days of cash on hand greater than or equal to 60? That is a yes. And indicator 10, did the school district average less than a 10% variance when comparing budgeted revenue to actual revenues for the last 3 years? And this is one of the indicators that was not scored and has not been since 2021. Indicators 11 and 12 was a ratio of long-term liabilities to total assets sufficient to support long-term solvency. And the answer is yes, but we did only score 4 of 10 points, which is the same as last year. And that also follows the explanation for the previous one, where we're looking at issuing new bonds and having our debt amount go up. That makes this one more difficult to score the highest on. Was the debt service coverage ratio sufficient to meet the required debt service? That is a yes. Indicator 13 and 14. Was the administrative cost ratio equal to or less than the threshold amount? That is a yes. We scored 10 of 10 points. Our ratio is 4.63%, which is well below the allowable threshold of 8.55%. Did the school district not have a 15% decline in the student to staff ratio over 3 years? And that is a yes. Indicators 15 and 16. Was the school district's ADA within the allotted range of the district's biennial pupil projection submitted to TEA? And that is the other indicator that is not scored this year. Did the comparison of PEIMS data to like information in the annual financial report result in a total variance of less than 3% of all expenditures by function? And the answer is yes. We submit our financial data every year to TEA through PEIMS, and that data should be mirror what we have in our annual financial report. Indicator 17 and 18, did the external independent auditor indicate that the financial report was free of any instances of material weakness in internal controls over financial reporting and compliance for local, state, or federal funds? That is a yes. And did the external independent auditor indicate that the financial report was free of any instances of material non-compliance for grants, contracts, and laws related to local, state, or federal funds? And that is a yes as well. Indicator 19 and 20, did the school district post the required financial information on its website? That is a yes. And did the school board members discuss property values at a board meeting within 120 days before the district adopted its budget? That is a yes as well. And the final indicator 21, did the school district receive an adjusted repayment schedule for more than one fiscal year for an over allocation of foundation school program funds because of a financial hardship? That is a no. So within the report, there are required disclosures that we have included. The first is the superintendent and board member travel expenditures from fiscal year August 31, 2023. The superintendent, a statement that the superintendent has not received any outside compensation for consulting services, and Dr. Engel has not. And also, we confirmed that our executive officers and board members did not receive gifts exceeding $250. We've also included the superintendent's contract in the report as well. And I just wanted to mention, as far as our financial reporting, we do receive recognition from the Governmental Financial Officers Association. That's the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, and this is our 18th consecutive year to receive that. We also receive the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting from the Association of School Business Officials International, and that is for the 18th consecutive year as well. And I will be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Benzai. Before we go to any questions from the board, with this being a public hearing, I did want to make sure that we paused if there were any comments from the community that's here this evening. Okay, seeing none, I will open it up if the board has any questions or comments for Ms. Benzai.
Yeah, and I think I know the answers to these, but I just want to get this on the record. So, uh, if I understand correctly, we scored 90 out of 100 points,
Correct.
and that is just right exactly on the boundary, is it not? So we just squeaked by with that A, which
Right.
is a step up for us this year.
Yes.
Okay. And so, if we were to sell more debt than let me just put it this way. If we were to sell more debt than just the last year's bond, would that probably kick us back down to a B, or would we still be okay?
So it depends on a few factors because we are repaying debt every year as well. We have when we sell the bonds, we get cash. And so as long as we have that cash as a current asset, then we can maintain. I think we've estimated that we will maintain our A rating next year as well for August of 2024. But as we start paying our bills and using the bonded debt to pay off our bills, those assets become capitalized and they're no longer current. They're sitting in buildings and fixed assets. So that's where we would see a little bit of the struggle, is that we don't have as much in current assets as we do in liabilities. So those will be the years we'll have to, after next year, we'll have to start watching to see. But it does depend on how fast the funds are spent and how much debt is issued each year.
Thank you.
Commissioner Larson, any other comments or questions from the board? Okay, thank you, Ms. Benzai. Okay, our next item on the agenda is closed session, and so the board will move into closed session as authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Section 551.001, concerning purposes permitted by the act, including consultation with attorney, 551.071, consultation with attorney, 551.072, deliberation regarding real property, and 551.074, deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignments, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public employee, or to hear a complaint or charge against an employee. And we'll go into closed session at 6:13. It's 6:48, and I'll call us back into open session, and we'll go to our next agenda item, which is Pledge of Allegiance, Texas Pledge, and District Mission Statement.
And I have some League City Intermediate Student Council members. Y'all come on up. Come on up. Thank you. All right, so you are gonna help lead us right there in the pledges. Are y'all ready? We're gonna turn, there we go, right there, all right? Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible. And please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. May be seated. Y'all can help me out for a minute. Okay, so we are going to direct our attention to the screens, and we are doing something new tonight, and y'all can help me with this, okay? We are going to read the district mission and vision statements. All right, now it may not be super familiar to you, but we are going to read it together. And can we all, everyone can join us in reading it together since we haven't done this, and so we'll just see how it goes. Mission of Clear Creek ISD. The mission of the Clear Creek Independent School District, the visionary leader igniting learning for all,
is ensured each student achieves, contributes, and leads with
integrity and a safe and nurturing environment
distinguished by authentic relationships,
service before self, and a spirit of exploration,
and now the vision statement.
empowering every student with a
world-class education that ignites
passions and fuels his endeavors.
Thank you. And now we do have, I think we have our core values. And I bet y'all know these. You want to lead us in the core values? You can just read just the core values.
Okay. Caring, citizenship, fairness, respect, responsibility, and trustworthiness.
Thank you. And finally, our value statement, we value people, purpose,
Purpose,
and
and
promise.
Yes.
So thank y'all very much. We appreciate that. We went to a training this week and really focused on how often do we really remind ourselves of our mission and our vision? And so we just thought we would open the meeting with that. So thank you for that. We appreciate it. And before you sit down, I want you to tell us what your role is at League City Intermediate.
Hi, I'm Bulkley, and I'm the vice president of student council.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Renoli, and I'm president of Student Council.
Hi, I'm Chandra Speaky, and I'm the treasurer of Student Council.
Tell us what's something you really enjoy about Student Council.
I enjoy writing the financial reports of Student Council.
That's awesome.
We have a department for him.
I enjoy getting to lead our school and helping our school become a safer and better place for the students.
I enjoy like leading the meetings when she's not there, and being in charge of like the talent show.
Nice.
Great. Thank you so much, and y'all did an outstanding job. Thank you very much. One more round of applause. We have some heroes in the hallway that we are going to celebrate. We are so excited. Over the past several weeks, our district has been on the receiving end of hope in action. On 2 separate days of service, 2 local houses of worship made one big impact on our school community. The Clear Creek Community Church Hope Initiative was held on October 27th, and Bay Area Church's Blessing of the Bay Area on November the 10th. As you can see from the photos, and we have some of these right there on the screen, with all said and done, there are armies of volunteers, literally hundreds of people, power washed, weeded, landscaped, and mulched, and transformed the green spaces of 33 Clear Creek ISD schools. 33. A teacher break room or two even got in on the action and were shown a little TLC. Volunteers stocked the rooms with drinks and snacks, a teacher favorite, and with one receiving the coveted Sonic ice machine. So I know I speak for our campus leaders and families when I say we are so very humbled by this tremendous act of kindness and generosity. We want to thank you, these two dedicated community partners, for so beautifully modeling each and every core value we just shared that we hold dear in CCISD. So here with us today are CCISD's heroes in the hallway and leaders from these two remarkable service initiatives. If you would please come up and join us, representing Bay Area Church, Pastor Eric Davis. Come on up. And Pastor Davis, Crystal Watt, and Zach Ashley, are you here also? Anybody else from the church? All right, and from Clear Creek Community Church, we have Ryan Ladedum and Ryan Thomas. Is that correct? Thomas? Thank you. And we also want to recognize our own maintenance team for their work and support of this large-scale collaboration in the weeks and days leading up to the service. Ed Hall, Chris Pitts, Landon Phillips, and their teams. I don't know if they're here tonight. Come on up, team Ed. Oh, wonderful. All right, so we just want to give our warmest thanks to these volunteers and our team too as they work together. And Chris, we really appreciate it. Landon, thank you so much. All right, I think we're going to get a picture. So much. We are so grateful. Thank you again. So grateful. Hey, thank you guys. Yes. Good job. Yeah. All right. All right. Well, we want to say congratulations to the Clearbrook High School Marching Band for their incredible season that took them to state again. Over the course of the season, the band won exceptional awards in music, visual performance, general effect, and best color guard and best percussion. They finished third place in area finals, which gave them their ticket to state UIL marching band competition for the 4th year in a row. That's a dynasty, we call that. Yes. Which means the seniors with us tonight have been to state all 4 years of high school. That is amazing. Yes, at state, the Brook Band finished 25th and second out of the bands from our area, with an incredible accomplishment, or what an incredible accomplishment actually, for the students and their directors. And with us tonight, we have, I believe, drum majors, do we, color guard, captains, y'all come on up, directors. Let's see, Ms. Speaks, do we have administrator? All right. Do we have any administrator? Oh, Ms. Speaks, come come on up. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes. Alberts, come on up. Stephanie, lots of people. Yeah. Great. All right, now this is a big deal. 4 years in a row. Oh my goodness. So how many? Who's a senior here? Show me. Okay, so 4 years can tell us. Okay, let's say somebody says, "I want to go to state band." All right, I want to go to state. What does it take to get to state?
I would. Okay.
Um,
I would probably say just being determined and like actually like loving what you're doing. Like for me, like I've loved color guard all 4 of my years. There's days I hate it, but most of the time I love it. And I think that's what got us honestly to state, because like all of us put like 4 years of hard work in it, and it paid off. So.
Anybody else? Somebody else?
Okay, I was gonna say it takes a lot of dedication, as Alina said, but also just like commitment to show up every day, like with a focused mindset and wanting to continue to get better and be better than you were yesterday.
Yeah, I totally agree with them. I think one more thing I would add is you have to have a vision. So if you want to make that big goal, you have to remember you're going to have to start somewhere and remember where you want to end and the steps that take you there.
I think one of the things that we're told a lot and that our directors tell us is that our biggest competition is ourselves. And so just continuing to improve and just be persistent with what we do is a big focus in our band, and it takes a lot of hard work to get here.
Okay, great lessons for all of us. And Director Beavers, thank you, congratulations. We are just so excited, and we wanted, the entire board is here for the picture, so that's a big deal. Yeah, so that's a pretty good thing. Do we want to do that? Yeah, let's bring everybody down, come on. Yes, 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 we'll get that. We had talked about it. Thank y'all and congratulations. Thank you. All right, and all the trustees are gonna stay up here. We are very excited. Please join me in congratulating the Clear Creek High School boys water polo team who made history. Yes. All right, hey guys. All right, clinching the UIL state championship title last month. The team also was undefeated this season with an overall record of 32-0-1. We have members from the team with us tonight, along with head coach Ty Halpert, hi coach, assistant coach Hannah O'Neill. Where is assistant? Is she here? Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you were one of the players, but no, that would not be correct. All right, that's great. And our district athletic leaders, Coach Killingsworth, Principal Orr, yeah, thank y'all so much. And we would also like, while we're just congratulating, Coach Halford was named the All-District Boys Coach of the Year. Congratulations. Okay. Oh, no, y'all know. So you get to pick whoever wants to talk for the team, right, captains? Yeah, that's good. That's good. Come on. Yeah. So tell us what it takes, and we've had them share with all of our leaders in the district right after the championship. So tell us what it takes to be a champion water polo team.
So, um, countless hours of hard work with the team, in and out the pool, constantly improving your skills, fundamentals, working in the weight room, eating right, getting yelled at by Halford every single day. It's a process, It started 4 years ago, and we've been working on it ever since. So it's just your mindset, how you overcome things with the team. It's a bunch of hard work. I think that's what it takes to become a state champion.
I think to kind of piggyback off what Jamie said, definitely countless hours in the pool with the team, and honestly, the best team, what makes up the best teams is our ability to gel together. And throughout our games, it hasn't been just one or two people scoring all of our goals. It took everybody to make the games the turnout that we expected. So definitely, it takes the molding of the team.
Same question. What it takes is the right group of kids to buy in for 4 years of swim practice in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, going to the weight room, water polo after school during season. It takes the right group of kids that are willing to put in the work and the time, and like Jamie said, endure getting yelled at sometimes when they do stuff they're not supposed to. But it takes the right group of kids, the right mesh, right players, and we were lucky enough to have it this year.
Congratulations. State title. We are very proud. And I know your principal's proud too, as a former water polo player. Am I right? Yeah, so this was a very big deal. Thank you and congratulations. Thank you. Down for just one more award, because we had closed session before this meeting. And then prior to that, we had a public hearing and talking about financials. And so we are so proud to say that Clear Creek ISD has once again earned 2 prestigious finance awards, which reflect that we are strong stewards of taxpayer dollars. The Association of School Boards Officials awarded our finance department the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting. This award represents a significant achievement and acknowledges our commitment to transparency and high-quality financial reporting. And we have earned the Government Finance Officers Association Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. This is the highest form of recognition in government accounting. This is the 18th year CCISD has received these recognitions. I would like to ask Alice Benzai, Chief Financial Officer, and the finance team that she has here tonight to come forward, please. Sarah, oh, wonderful, great. Sarah and Claire. And y'all definitely have a League City Intermediate student that's going to be on the team. They don't want to ask me. They don't want me to ask them any questions. We're done. We're good. Yeah. They like to do finance financial reporting, yeah, reports. So that's fun.
Okay, we'll move to our next item on the agenda, and it's our district update.
Okay, thank you, President Sanchez. Clear Creek ISD is ranked among the top 5 school districts in Houston, as indicated on the 2025 Best Schools Report by Niche. In addition to receiving an A rating, Clear Creek ISD was also ranked number 2 in the Houston area and number 7 in the state of Texas for being the best places to teach. Niche utilizes feedback from stakeholders as well as quantitative data from sources like the U.S. Department of Education. Much to celebrate for sure. We have many campus activities going on. Students and staff across our district honored military veterans through touching tributes on Monday, November the 11th. Schools hosted active and veteran military personnel in various ways and honored them, including a special jump-in before kickoff of the Lake and Falls football game. It was exciting to have World War II veterans, both over 100 years young, in attendance. The Clear Creek Education Foundation Surprise Patrol visited multiple schools this month. Board members on the foundation hopped on a school bus and, accompanied by the Brook Drumline, entered surprised teachers' classrooms to award teacher innovative grants. This month, 7 teachers received almost $110,000 in grant funding. On behalf of our team and the trustees, I would like to recognize and thank the Education Foundation for inspiring innovation. And several of us paid a visit to the Alpha Showcase at the Learner Support Center. This is the culmination of months of hard work where GT 5th grade students from across CCISD come to participate in enrichment courses and show off their learning to their families. And finally, and 'tis the season for gratitude, elementary schools across our district are inviting parents and grandparents and special friends for a Thanksgiving feast. It is one of our treasured annual events. We will do another round of holiday lunches prior to the winter break. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Engel. We'll move to the next item on our agenda, and it's administrative report, Galveston Central Appraisal District update.
Okay, the Galveston Central Appraisal District will provide an update on the appraisal process. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for having us at your meeting. We appreciate that. From our organization, I am Catherine McGee. I'm the Assistant Chief of Operations. I also have with me Scott Brass, our Board Director, and Stephen Holtz, our IT Director. I'm hearing all these awards, and I'd like to actually mention that the Galveston Central Appraisal District has recently been named a top workplace by the Houston Chronicle, and that's definitely due to the dedication of our staff as public servants. The role of the appraisal district, I'm going to try to condense this. We do a lot more than this, but this will give you like a brief overview. We appraise property at market value as of January 1st. We process ownership transfers and exemption applications. We send notices of appraised value in April. We meet with the property owners and agents during the protest season. We certify that appraisal roll to the entities. We're required to re-inspect properties every 3 years, and we comply with audits performed by the comptroller. Some of the statistics for Clear Creek ISD. 2023, the certified net taxable was $11.1 billion, but in 2024, we certified a net taxable of $11.9 billion. So that's an overall increase of 7%. Single-family residents increased about 7%. Commercial increased 11%. Land values increased 8%. And our number of sales that we saw for 2023 versus 2024, 2478 to 2691. We saw an 8.6% increase in number of sales from 23 to 24. The median price per square foot increase, we saw the increase from 2023 at 160.77 to 164.66 per square foot. That was a 2% increase in the price for a single-family residence. And this is on top of what we've all seen with the mortgage interest rates. When COVID hit and you could get an interest rate from a 2.5 to 3%, now we're facing 6.5 to 7%. So to see the increase in sales and the increase in the price per square foot on top of those increased mortgage rates means that there is still a great demand in this area. Some of the new and upcoming subdivisions for Clear Creek, we have a great mapping department. Our mapping director is wonderful. She takes care of us and makes sure that all those new subdivisions get created and on the roll. We saw the Pedregal Section 2, the Wizard Energy Storage, the Bulkari's Peter Point Plaza, and the Samara Section 7. Those are all going to be on the roll for 2025. Valuing property. So for the appraisal district, we're a little different than what a homeowner gets a fee appraisal to do a mortgage on a home or to buy a home. That fee appraiser does a home appraisal that's specific to that property. For us, we do mass appraisal, and the process of mass appraisal is valuing a group of properties as of a given date and using common data such as sales, standardized methods, and statistical testing. The market value of property shall be determined by the application of generally accepted appraisal methods and techniques. We're held by the standards of the Uniform Standards of a Professional Appraisal Practice, and that's through the Property Tax Code, Chapter 23. So what's this mean for us? Galveston County properties, we looked at Galveston County as a whole, and Galveston County increased from a net taxable from 23 to 24, and the increase was an average of 8% overall. So, a lot of people know us because of the notice of appraised value and the opportunity to protest their value. Typically, deadline to protest is May 15th or 30 days from receiving that notice. We send those notices in April. And there was about 80,000 properties protested between April. We have to get our protests done between April and when we certify at least 95% of the roll in July. So that's a lot of homeowners or tax agents that we're processing so that we can hear what's going on specifically with their property. Ways that you can protest your homestead property online through our website. You can mail in your protest form. You can email your protest form to gcad@galvestoncad.org, and you can walk into our office and talk to an appraiser. So when you meet with an appraiser, and if y'all can't come to an agreement on value, that is when you go to the appraisal review board. The ARB is a separate body from the appraisal office and serves a different function. They are local citizens appointed. So recently it's been that they've been appointed by a district judge. Now the new legislation that was in part of the 88th legislation shows that 2025 forward, we're actually going to have a different system for appointing the ARB. It's not going to be the district judge, it's going to be the board of directors. So they hear protests between property owners and the appraisal district. They also approved the supplemental changes to this previous certified tax roll before we sent those to the entities. The ARB must approve the appraisal records by July 20th so that we can certify the roll by the July 25th date. And our portion is one side of the coin. So we set the appraised values. There's also a second side of the coin, which is your taxes. And we do not set tax rates. That is the entities that set the tax rates. And we do not do the tax bills or the collections. That is your tax assessor collector that handles that portion. And then, as I was talking about legislative changes, there was quite a bit of property tax legislative changes in the 88 legislative section. They went through a special session and then passed Senate Bill 2. Senate Bill 2 increases the existing mandatory homestead exemption for school district property taxes. It went from $40,000 to $100,000 this year is what's seen on the tax bills. Senate Bill 2 also introduced a circuit breaker. The circuit breaker now applies to all non-homesteaded real property. So this will actually give a 20% cap on the taxable value. So this is going to apply for things like rental property, commercial properties, vacant land, and minerals if the value is under $5 million. So there's no new value added to the roll that year. It's just we're seeing an increase in the market values. There's a 20% that can only be taxed 20% over last year's taxable value, and that cap is called the circuit breaker. The last thing I wanted to mention is we had some changes in the legislation with our board of directors. And so Scott Brass is here, and he's our board of directors, so he's going to go over the changes that the legislative made to the board of directors. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Good evening, and I'll be brief. So effective 2024, legislature mandated that Galveston County, the Galveston Central Appraisal District, now have 9 board members. 3 are elected from the general public. 1 is the ex officio county tax assessor, and then 5 are for the existing board members that are all up for election at this point in time this year, at the end of this year. So that was a change. Now, non-legislative change that we had from the board and the tax assessor in the GCAT office that benefits everybody within the county, and especially the school districts and municipalities, was the hiring of new general counsel. One of the biggest budget items in the GCAT budget is legal. We're fighting lawsuits. We're having to go to arbitration. Just the whole administrative cost of that. We had an attorney, and he resigned earlier this year. We got one with a lot of litigation experience. His name's Mark Young. He came on a go forward. I would look for this to really help keep a cap on that huge expense item, which is the legal expense. We have to use third-party law firms, and we're going to reduce that by having this in-house counsel, and especially one with such good experience. So that was a key thing for 2024. That's all I have.
All right. So you can reach us on our website. We have a lot of great information for you there. We also have a Facebook, a LinkedIn, where we're posting any kind of updates that are going on. And I've brought cards. If anybody has any specific property-specific questions that they want to reach out to me later, I'm happy to help. And if there's any questions here, I'm happy to answer those if I can.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Mr. Bowen?
Sure. Scott Bowen, trustee. So the first question, I kind of have 2 related questions. The first question I have is that it may not still be true, but at least last time I looked into this, Galveston ISD was under what's called a property value study, where basically the long and short of it is that the state disagrees with GCAD about what the valuations of the properties are within Galveston ISD to a great enough degree that it's costing them funding. Are you able to talk a little bit about why that's occurring and kind of what you're doing to remedy that situation?
If you don't mind, I'll take that one. So the comptroller does a school district property value study every other year. Their initial findings was that Galveston ISD was out of the range of, now the range is 100% market value, and we only have a 95 to 105. So we can be 5 under or 5 over, and anything outside of that range is not passing. So they did actually appeal that, and then in the appeal, they brought it in line. So we are in line with the school district findings, and they do give you grace for 2 years to be outside of that before they do cut state funding for the school district.
Perfect, thank you. And has Clear Creek ISD ever approached either of those thresholds?
Not since I have been there. We have passed this last property value study for Clear Creek ISD.
I believe in 2019, they did not, and then it got back into balance the next year.
Okay, thanks. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the board?
All right,
Okay.
thank you so
Seeing
much.
none, thank you. We'll move to our next agenda item, which is community input. The purpose of community input is for the entire board to receive feedback from citizens. The board will hear the public comments, but will not respond except as authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act to respond to an inquiry by a member of the public or by a board member with a statement of specific factual information, recitation of existing policy, or to deliberate a proposal to place a subject on the agenda for a subsequent meeting. Matters brought forth that require a response will be addressed by the superintendent as appropriate. All information received is subject to verification. Community input is scheduled for 30 minutes and has 2 forums. Those requesting to address the board regarding items on the agenda are granted up to 3 minutes to address their topics, and those who sign up to address items not on the board agenda are granted 1 minute. In a district our size, there will certainly be issues or topics which generate considerable interest from the public. It is important that members of our community be able to address the school board respectfully, without disruption, and without fear of intimidation from other attendees. On behalf of the board, the superintendent, and CCISD staff, we welcome your input during CCISD school board meetings. We request that everyone exhibit the respect and understanding each person deserves when addressing the school board during the public input portion of the meeting. Our first public speaker is Scott Brast.
Thank you. Good evening, board, and thank you for the time. My name is Scott Frost. I've been a board member for GCAD since 2020. I'm currently up for re-election, as all of us are here at this point in time. I believe you all have the bio that I've previously submitted. And I want to thank you for the past support, because I've also been on the Galveston Central Appraisal District 2014 to 2017, and then from 2020 to present. So my support has historically come from Clear Creek Independent School District, Friendswood Independent School District, and the city of Friendswood. I live here in League City. I live in Tuscan Lakes. I've been a citizen here for 25 years, worked at American National Insurance Company for 30 plus years. So, as y'all know, it's a volunteer position, so why do it? Why do I do that? It's a way I can serve my community. That's important to me. It always has been instilled in me from both my parents, who were both teachers and coaches. I have no political aspirations. This is not a stepping stone. I'm not doing anything else. My wife would kill me. But I like to serve my community. I'm also very involved in junior achievement, and I'm a board member of Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, and I like being involved in young folks' lives. And I've served on many boards corporately as well, and big thing there is governance, right? And so what is important about my position here at GCAD as a board member, it's the oversight of the GCAD office. I've got that experience. First and foremost, budget integrity, transparency, and accuracy. That's number 1 on the list. 2, litigation oversight. As I mentioned previously, it's such a huge expense, and we can't take our eyes off of that ball. I did a lot of that in my actual work job for 30 years, and then the valuations, as we just mentioned, is compliance with the state. It's paramount. We've got to get that right as representatives of the citizens, but in my position, the school districts and municipalities in Galveston County, they count on those funds, and so we've got to get all those aspects right. They count on the funds from the property taxes. It's just imperative. We're keenly aware that a miss has devastating effects. We don't want to be doing refunds and asking the district for more money. That doesn't work. So that's just, I'm keenly aware of that. Being a North County citizen, I really appreciate the fact that represent the places I represent. So I appreciate your vote. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Tom Davis.
In response to the recently imposed 1-minute limit on community input for non-agenda items, please allow me to quote from Alexis de Tocqueville. The democratic form of despotism does not destroy, but prevents things from being born. It does not tyrannize, but hinders, compromises, enervates, extinguishes, dazes, and finally reduces each nation to nothing more than a herd of timid and industrious animals of which the government is the shepherd. Parker J. Palmer comments further. When Alexis de Tocqueville wrote of the habits of the heart that animate democracy, he meant not only physical acts of service, but also emotional acts of forbearance, tolerance, responsibility taking, and the like. Civic habits are often deeply ingrained in a society's culture. Participation is one such habit. So I ask, why is my participation being limited to a mere minute at a time? Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Move to our next agenda item, action on closed session items. I'll entertain a motion for item A.
Mr. President,
Mr. McKay?
I move the board adopt a resolution declaring as surplus and authorizing the sale of approximately 11.2 acres, generally known as FM 518 and Louisiana Avenue, League City in Galveston County, Texas, as further described in the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. McKay. Any comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, will raise your right hand. It passes unanimous. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion for item B.
Mr. President,
Mr. Cunningham?
I move that the board approves the superintendent's recommendation for Director of Maintenance and Operations, Mr. Chris Pitts.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Any comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, if you'll raise your right hand. It passes unanimous. Dr. Engel?
Yes, thank you for that. Chris Pitts has been a member of the Maintenance and Operations team for 12 years. He is currently the Assistant Director of Maintenance and Operations, and he truly leads by example. Whatever it takes, 24/7, he's out there making sure that our schools are running smoothly. So we could not be more pleased. And it's going to be extremely challenging to replace Ed Hall, who's retiring at the end of this calendar year. But we are definitely, Ed has good pipeline. Ed has really, really worked with Chris for many years. So we're grateful for this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Smooth transition.
Thank you, Dr. Engel. I'll entertain a motion for item C.
Mr. President,
Ms. Checa?
I move that the board approve the recommendation of the superintendent to approve, the recommendation for the Director of Special Education Programs for Ms. Leah Bossi.
Thank you, Ms. Checa. Any comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, if you'll raise your right hand. And it passes unanimous. Dr. Engel?
Yes, and Leah Bossi has also worked in the district for 12 years, so it's a little bit of a trend there tonight. And she began as an alternate academics teacher at Clear Falls High School, and she has continued to hold multiple positions in the special ed in different areas, and she is currently the Assistant Director of Secondary Special Programs and has also taken on the role of Interim Director of the Behavior Support Center this semester. Excited to have her come on board as in that new position as Director of Special Education Programs.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Engel. I will move to item 12, consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President?
Yes?
I'd like to remove item number 13.
13. Thank you. Any other items folks would like to pull? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move
Cunningham?
that the board approves the consent agenda as presented minus item 13.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. All those in favor, or any questions or comments from the board? All those in favor, if you raise your right hand. It passes unanimous. Mr. Bone, item 13?
Yes, I just wanted to ask a couple of quick questions about that. So on this item, this is the volunteer policy, and it deals with background checking of volunteers. So I just wanted to be sure, what is the I understand that it's being moved into a regulation, and I think if someone who weren't familiar with that were reading through this the agenda, they might notice that it's going away and not be clear on the fact that it is coming back as a regulation. But can you speak a little bit to the reasoning for moving it into regulations versus policy?
Absolutely. It was really in keeping with conversations we've had over the years about aligning the policy regarding background checks of volunteers with the policy regarding background checks of employees. And so really looking at alignment there, the local policy regarding employees provides that high level local policy, high governance level direction. And then the details and nuances of specifically what particular offenses would lead or likely lead to exclusion are detailed in regulation. And that's true for our corresponding policy that pertains to background checks of employees. And we also looked at aligning to make sure that we don't have a higher standard for volunteers than we do for employees. So that was the conversation we had in policy committee. And this is just in keeping with that. But it's not getting rid of this language, but rather just moving it into regulation because it's more appropriate for day-to-day procedural administration.
Right, and so basically the actual qualifications for volunteers don't change due to this change. It's just the language dealing with them moves to a different place.
That's correct. For the most part, it's just getting into complete alignment to make sure also that there is not a higher standard for certain misdemeanors, et cetera, for volunteers than for employees, so that volunteers aren't held to a higher standard.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mechanic. Any other questions about that item? I'll entertain a motion, Mr. Bowe.
Yes, Mr. President, I move that we accept the first reading of GKG Local Community Relations School Volunteer Program, recognizing that acceptance of the first reading does not constitute approval of the policy, and that staff plans to bring to the board for consideration a second reading of a version of the proposed policy for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen. Any other comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. That passes unanimous. Thank you. Next item is item B, and it's consider vote and resolution of the Harris Central Appraisal District Board of Directors.
Mr. President.
Mr. Bowen.
I would like to make a motion on this one. I move that we give votes, that we have 80 votes to assign among people, and so I'd like to assign them 27 to Martina Lamont Dixon, 27 to Mike Sullivan, and 26 to Bill Frazier.
You said 27, 27, and 26?
Yes, so that should total 80.
Okay. Thank you. Any other motions from the board?
Mr. President.
Mr. Cunningham?
I move to amend Trustee Bowen's motion and award 73 votes to Martina Dixon, and then give each other candidate a vote. So the other 7 get 1.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Any other motions from the board? Okay, seeing none, we'll address the Mr. Cunningham's amendment to the motion to award 73 votes for Martina Dixon, Lamont Dixon, and 1 for each of the other candidates. And I will.
It's on page 139.
Thank you. I will read those just for the record. Cassandra Ozine Bandy, Jonathan Cohen, Bill Frazier, Melissa Noriega, Jim Robinson, Paul Shanklin, and Mike Sullivan. And those would be for the remaining votes. Any comments from the board?
So right now we're debating the amendment, right?
On the amendment, that's correct.
Yeah. So I'm against the amendment. First of all, I understand the logic behind giving a vote to each one, and I think in Galveston County we should do that. In Harris County, we just don't have that many votes to give out. We've only got 80, and so I think we start cutting into the number of votes we do give to the people we want to support when we do that. The reason I nominated the names that I did was I've worked with all three of the people I named before. Martina, we know very well due to her work in Humble ISD. Mike Sullivan is a former city councilman for the Clear Lake area. He was also a trustee on, I believe he's still a trustee at Lone Star College, very involved in our Chamber of Commerce. So a longtime friend of this area. And I definitely think we should support him as well. And then Bill Frazier is probably a newer name for some of y'all. I've known him for a very long time. He ran for Houston City Controller twice, has a lot of accounting experience and finance experience at a very high level, is very familiar with the appraisal district, and also ran for the appraisal district when we had elections last May and came very close to securing a seat on the board that way. And so I think he is someone who would serve us very well also. So I would say let's not, we have several people on this ballot, and I think it'll be true in Galveston County as well, who have relationships with certainly the Harris County side of the district, but the district as a whole. And I think we should support all of them. And so I would say let's stick to the motion as I made it. That's what I would ask, and that would parcel out our votes among three people who we know and we know have the experience and reliability to serve in this capacity. So my ask is to vote no on the amendment and then vote yes on the underlying motion afterward.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen. Any other comments?
And I'll just comment, the reason why I made mine is I think it's vitally important. We have a member that's already on HCAD and fellow trustee that I think needs our support. So that's why I made the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Any other?
Or
I
the
have
amendment.
a question. Bill Frazier, is he in this area?
He is in Houston.
Does he have ties to CCISD?
I mean, he ran for city controller, which would have covered a large portion of CCISD. So.
Any other questions, Ms. Cheka? No. Any other questions from the board? So the first vote that we'll take is the amended motion, which is to award 73 votes to Martina Lamont Dixon and 1 for each of the other candidates. All those in favor for the amended motion, if you'll raise your right hand. 3, 4, 3, 4, 3 in support of, I apologize. Those against, if you'll raise your right hand. And 4 against. Thank you. And so we will move to the original motion by Mr. Bowen, which is to award 27 votes to Martina Lamont Dixon, 27 votes to Mike Sullivan, and 26 votes to Bill Frazier. All those in favor, if you raise your right hand. 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 in support, and those against, and 2 against. And so that passes. Thank you. We'll move to the next item, and it's vote allocation and resolution for Galveston Central Appraisal District Board of Directors.
And President Sanchez, Ms. Sar Mechanic did some work and received late this afternoon at 5 o'clock, the updated totals. So we'd like to share those with you.
Please.
This is the most recent that we have.
Mr. President,
Mr. Bowen?
I move that we parcel out the votes in Galveston County as follows and adopt the resolution doing that. For Scott Brast, Robin Collins, and Chad Tressler, 192 votes each. And then for each of the other 4 candidates, we would give 1 vote.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen. Any other motions from the board? Mr. Cunningham?
Mr. President, I want to amend that motion with 480 for Scott Brass. Robin Collins, 100 votes. Chad Tressler, 100 votes. And let me see what that is.
Actually, that would take it
That's over our
beyond
limit.
our
I'm
amount.
sorry.
580 is
I'm
the
sorry.
total.
480 for Scott Brass, 25 for Robin Collins, 25 for Chad Tressler, and 25 for Don Gartman.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Any other motions from the board?
So, point of order, Mr. President, that does not add up to the 580.
Pretty.
That would add up to 555.
And so that would not be sufficient.
What I said, 480, and then
You add
25,
Collins.
25, 25.
Yeah, you need 1 more.
But you need it to be 100 plus 40.
Right.
For the 580.
So you need to either divide them by 33 for the bottom 3 and one of them 34.
Tressler, Gartman, and 25 to Matt Doyle.
Okay, so just to make sure, so the amended motion as made by Mr. Cunningham, just to ensure it's correct, is 480 for Scott Brass, 25 for Robin Collins, 25 for Chad Tressler, 25 for Don Gartner, and 25 for Matt Doyle. And that will total the 580. Any other comments from the board? So we will vote on the amendment that was made by Mr. Cunningham. All those in favor, if you raise your right hand. And it's 4 in support of, and those against, and 3 against. And so the amended motion passes. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr.
I'd like
Bone?
to make an amendment. I would like to move the votes from Matt Doyle and Don Gartman, the 25 each, to Robin Collins and Chad Tressler.
I'm not sure if an amendment can be made once a vote has been taken on an amendment.
Well, yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know. Is that in order or not to amend? Because I think after an amendment passes, it becomes the new main motion, right?
I think it would be in order to amend the main motion that we have with the amendment that was just made.
Yeah.
However, if the amendment is identical to something that's just been defeated, I would say that would not be in order.
So yeah, I'll make the amendment then. So yeah, because it's not identical to what was just passed.
No,
Or it's not identical to what was passed or the status quo ante before
there you go.
the amendment was made.
That's, all right, yeah, that would be in order then.
So I just want to make sure, I guess I was under the impression that once an amendment has been made to a motion and that has passed, that then that still can be amended
Yes.
to vote again? Okay,
Right. It's yeah. So what I could not do is I could not make an amendment to go back to what it was before because we just had that vote. I would have to do a motion to reconsider.
okay.
But
And I would just to be fair here, I would caution that if we start making a number of these little amendments, proposing a number of these little amendments that just change a few numbers here or there, I think we'd get into the point where you could argue those are dilatory motions.
yeah. So the amendment is made. I'll just argue for it quickly. I don't believe that that our district has really heard much or knows much about Matt Doyle and Don Gartman. I'm sure they're excellent people, but the three individuals who have requested support from this board were Chad Tressler, Robin Collins, and Scott Brass. And so I would like us to focus our votes on them to the extent possible. I think if I was kind of expecting an argument in favor of the last amendment that was made because I was planning to respond to it. I would have rather us had parity among those three because the message that we send by giving more votes to one versus the other when the underlying math isn't really affected makes me a little uncomfortable. But I think all three of those are residents of this district who have asked for our support and would serve admirably. And so that's where I'd like us to focus our votes.
Okay, so those are just comments. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is debate in favor of the amendment.
Can you
Okay.
repeat the amendment?
So the amendment would change it to 40, we would still have 480 for Scott Brass, that doesn't change. We would have 50 for Robin Collins and 50 for Chad Tressler.
Okay, so any comments or questions from the board? So the amendment to, is this considered a second amendment? Based on how this is made, or it's just an additional amendment?
Yeah, once the original amendment passed, that became the new main motion. It's almost like the first main motion never happened and we have a new one. Now we're having an amendment to the new main motion.
That has already passed.
Right, that is already amended. The underlying main motion has not passed yet.
That has already been amended. So we will, all those in support of Mr. Bowen's amendment for 480 votes for Brast, 50 for Collins, and 25 for, 50 for Tressler. All those in favor, for raise your right hand. And then those against. Okay, and that motion passes, that amendment passes. Any other amendments? Okay, so then voting on the amended motion of 480 for Brast, 50 for Collins, and 50 for Tressler. All those in favor, for raise your right hand. And it passes unanimous. Thank you. 8 years into board service, and I'm not sure that I have done that many amendments before. So thank you for that. I learn every day. So we will move to our next agenda item. Make sure I'm on track, and it is item D. It's consider approval of the use of capital project funds for the culinary arts and catering kitchen renovation.
Yes, So during the October board meeting, students and staff shared the exciting opportunities available through the Clear Springs Culinary Arts Program. And during the November board workshop, we made a proposal to expand the CCISD Culinary Arts Program to Clear Lake High School. So we are requesting capital project funds at $2.5 million to renovate existing spaces at the Learner Support Center right next to Clear Lake High School into a culinary arts teaching kitchen and bistro for the expansion of CTE's culinary arts program. And Mr. Miller and Mr. Aragon will give you some more details on that.
You did a fantastic job. So exactly, we are requesting to use the capital and contingency reserve of $2.5 million. And this is an exciting project to renovate the existing spaces at the LSC. It is to create a culinary arts teaching kitchen that we will be converting an existing room 117 to a fully equipped around 1,300 square foot culinary arts kitchen that meets all of the new industry standards. This project also involves renovation of the existing catering kitchen, basically the first bay, and the development of a bistro, which is also very exciting. It's about a 900 square foot dining area. And then the third item is to replace some aging infrastructure inside the catering kitchen to enhance operational efficiency, but also ensure that we are in compliance with health and safety regulations. So sanitary lines and mechanical units that need to be replaced due to age. And this would be the perfect time because we'd be tying into it and would be in there anyways. We plan on, because we're dealing with the city of Houston, we sometimes have issues with permitting, so we plan on, after approval, ordering the equipment right away because it's got a lead time, and then starting the process of getting some permitting with the city so that we can complete this project by July 30th, 2025.
Okay. Any questions from the board, comments? Mr. Bone?
So I do have a question, and this is one that was actually brought up to me by someone else after talking about the project a little bit with them. But how is this going to change the security situation at the LSC? Because right now, I mean, when we have a lot of students going over there, maybe even members of the community dining there, what is your vision for how that's possibly going to change?
We did cover that last week. We got with our technology team. I think currently the approach is going to be that those students that are assigned there, based on the time that they are scheduled to be there, we provided card reader badges to be able to access using a card reader to get into the building. That way we can maintain a secure environment. Anytime that there's an event that would follow the typical visitor process where they would go into the front and check in and be provided a Raptor badge.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bone. Any other comments or questions? Mr. Larson?
Yeah, you know, I wanted to mention that, you know, we everything that was said about this at the workshop still holds true as far as, you know, the demand being there, this providing a path for so many students. There's a lot of good things to say about this initiative. I wanted to mention that last Thursday it was my pleasure to tour the San Eliazaro ISD high school, and they have a culinary arts program very similar to ours with 120 slots and a remarkably modern kitchen, considering how the difference in the financial situations between our district and theirs. So I noticed the great pride the students at that school had in that program, and it's very similar to what I've seen over at Springs, and it's what I expect to see, you know, for the students who will be able to travel to the Learner Support Center to take the culinary arts curriculum. My only suggestion is you might want to reach out to them to see if there's any potential cost savings we might be able to find there. and I support this initiative wholeheartedly.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. Any other comments from the board? I would just say thank you for the information that you all shared just last week at the board workshop and the discussion that Ms. Raska had about just the offerings and the importance at Clear Lake High School for students who may not be, who may be more interested and in a position to pursue something that formalizes things that they may already be doing as part of their outside of school work. And so recognizing that there is that interest and demand, and knowing that the demand across the district has exceeded what we've been able to accommodate, this definitely gives us an opportunity to provide that as an option. So thank you all for bringing that forward. Any other comments, questions from the board? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President,
Ms. Checa?
I move to approve the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the use of capital funds for $2,500,000 for a culinary arts and catering kitchen renovation at the Learner Support Center.
Thank you, Ms. Checa. Any other comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, if you raise your right hand. It passes unanimous. Thank you.
Okay.
And we'll go to item E.
So this is another capital request to use capital and contingency reserve funds totaling $399,640. And this does include a $40,000 contingency to purchase three 26-foot dry freight box trucks with rail gate lifts for the warehouse.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President,
Mr. Cunningham?
I move that we approve the superintendent's recommendation for the use of capital project funds of $399,640 for transportation-related projects.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. And it passes unanimous. Thank you. And item F.
Yeah, so the next two agenda items are both transportation-related items as well. The first one being for the purchase of school buses. On October 17th, we received bids in our IonWave electronic bidding system for the purchase of 30 72-passenger buses, 2 84-passenger buses, and 9 45-passenger buses. We'd like to, we recommend award of the contract to Thomas Built Bus, Longhorn Bus Sales, and Rush Truck. With 15 of the 72-passenger buses going to Thomas Built Bus, 15 of the 72-passenger buses going to Longhorn Bus Sales, 2 transit-style 84-passenger buses from Rush Truck of Houston, and 9 lift-equipped buses for special education for Thomas Built Bus. Total contract value for this one-time purchase is $6,340,566.
Thank you. Any comments, questions from the board?
I have one kind of off-the-wall question. I'm trying to wrap my brain around this. Why did we have 2 84-passenger buses in the mix? Was there a specific route or something that required that?
Yes, sir. According to Mr. Cargill, there's some of our routes that will not quite fit the 72-passenger bus capacity. And so in order to be more efficient with our routing, we can, instead of running 2 buses for the same route, we can run 1 larger bus. Now, they are a little longer, a little bit more difficult to maneuver, so not every bus driver wants to operate them, but the wheels are basically further in front of the driver, similar to a fire truck, but they actually can increase our efficiency and make sure that we're operating in the most effective manner.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board? I'll entertain a motion for item F.
Mr. President, I move that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation to award the contract 2025.807 Yellow Fleet school buses with Thomas Bus Texas, Rush Truck Center, and Longhorn Bus Sales for the purchase of school buses for a total contract value of $6,340,566.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Any other comments or questions from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, if you raise your right hand. It passes unanimous. And item G.
So the last item tonight is for the purchase of the white fleet box trucks that Mr. Aragon just mentioned. We did receive proposals from 4 different suppliers on October the 17th for these box trucks. They are, like Alex mentioned, they are 26-foot dry box trucks. These are gasoline engines, and they have rail lifts that have a capacity of 6,000 pounds. So they do accommodate a pallet of paper on an electric pallet jack to make sure that our routing is efficient through our warehouse system. After evaluation, we recommend purchase of box trucks from Randall Reed's Planet Ford for a total contract value of $359,640.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from the board? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the award of contract 2025.808 White Fleet box trucks with Randall Reed's Planet Ford for the purchase of 3 box trucks with rail gate lifts for a total contract value of $359,640.
Thank you, Mr. McKay. Any questions from the board? Seeing none, all those in favor, if you raise your right hand. And that passes unanimous. Thank you. And with no further business, I'll adjourn us at 8:05.